Welcome back to Discover Crypto. I'm Mike and I'm here to guide you through the current batch of Polkadot Parachain auctions. In today's video, I'm going to explore Moonbeam and give a deep dive into the project so that you can be fully informed about how you want to approach the Parachain auctions and if you want to get involved and loan any DOT if you have some. So let's get straight into the video. So Moonbeam has the ambitious tagline of "the future is multi-chain." It has been developed using the substrate language of Polkadot, but at the same time it is going to be compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine, meaning that Solidity developed projects are going to be compatible, and this will enable Ethereum developers to potentially launch their project on Moonbeam and integrate tools such as MetaMask, Remix, Hardhat. And as for the smart contract languages, Solidity, Viper. And whenever it comes to Moonbeam, you're going to get all of the benefits of EVM implementation, but then there will also be Moonbeam features such as on-chain governance, staking, and cross-chain integrations. The ecosystem is already growing, as we can see here from the list of deployments. So this Moonbeam, whenever it has so many deployments ready to go and it has developers already working on it, this means that if Moonbeam wins a Parachain auction and is able to launch straight away in December, it's going to be able to hit the ground running compared to maybe some of the other projects that aren't so well prepared. In the latest release from Moonbeam on medium.com, we can see that a range of partners and projects are building now on Moonbeam. So there's Moonlit Finance, which is an AMM and DEX, and then there's the Graph, which is a tool for indexing the decentralized web. Subquery is involved. Ocean Protocol, which is a marketplace for data. Relay Chain is a bridge. Band and Dia are oracles. At some point in the future, Chainlink will also get involved. There's also storage and scalability from Protofire and Crust. Now, when talking about Moonbeam, I also need to bring up the sister chain, which is Moonriver, and this is on Kusama. The difference, Kusama and Polkadot are both layer zeros that connect layer one chains. They are both developed using Substrate, but the difference between Kusama and Polkadot is that Kusama is not an audited chain, so it's more of a canary net. It is fully functional and it does work, but it's just more for experimentation. When it comes to Moonriver, we can find out the token allocation easily enough through the Moonbeam Foundation. There is a nice pie chart here that lets you check out how the funds have been distributed. What we know already is that there was a take flight event in September for community members where 80 million tokens were sold, and once Moonbeam goes live, there is going to be an unlock 40 days after. Now, whenever it comes to using the Moonbeam network, we have the Glimmer Token, which has the code of GLMR. There was an initial Genesis token supply of 1 billion. There's going to be an uncapped supply, and annual inflation will be 5%. 80% of transaction fees are burned and 20% go to the treasury. This is going to be used for gas metering, protocol security, on-chain governance, network transactions. And anyone who's concerned with the annual inflation rate, maybe my hope in the future would be that you don't want inflation to be uncapped forever, so there could be a hope that maybe this would be reconsidered in a governance vote, and then that it would be capped at some point. In the allocation here, you can go and see how the tokens have been planned for distribution in terms of seed funding, strategic funding, and then there's a more detailed breakdown here, and you can also see the vesting schedules for seed and strategic funding. The take flight event, there's a 40-day lockup period from the launch of Moonbeam. This is slightly different for anyone who receives GLMR tokens in the Moonbeam Crowdloan. Basically, these 30% of these will be released and 70% will be gradually released over 96 weeks. The equivalent information is also available for Moonriver if you want to look at that as well. One of the biggest differences you will notice is that the 10 million Moonriver tokens are more geared towards community initiatives, so there haven't been any seed investors or things like that getting involved. On Masari, I see that they've attempted to develop a model for the liquid supply curve of the GLMR token. One slight it looks like there's potentially a big spike coming next summer, but this isn't completely accurate though, so I would take this with a pinch of salt, because they're showing 10 million tokens here when we know there's going to be a billion Genesis tokens. There's also a supply curve for Moonriver. I'll link these in the description and you can make up your own mind, but I couldn't find any legitimate supply curves from the Moonriver Foundation or the Moonbeam Foundation, so this is the best I could do. In terms of the Crowdloan, 100 million GLMR tokens are going to be made available to anyone who contributes their Polkadot tokens. This represents 10% of the Genesis supply. As explained, 30% of rewards will be made available immediately once the network goes live, but this will be dependent on transfers and the Ethereum virtual machine compatibility being enabled. How this is going to work is that the 100 million GLMR will be divided based on the contribution of Polkadot. So there's a hard cap of 100 million Polkadot. That means that the project can't accept any more than that. If the hard cap was potentially to be reached, then that's one GLMR for one Polkadot, but hopefully it doesn't come to that and we can get a better distribution. So the Crowdloan begins on November the 11th, and if the project wins, then anyone who has contributed their DOT will have it locked up for 96 weeks and they will have it returned. This means it cannot be sold or used during that period, so you need to bear that in mind if you are contributing to the loan. Some centralized exchanges are facilitating this. I can see Binance and Kraken and KuCoin listed. However, centralized exchanges are likely to tax your GLMR rewards, so I'm going to go in a different way and use the Fearless wallet, but Math Wallet's another option. The Polkadot JS extension is also an option. I've sort of already covered this, but I just want to remind you that yes, there's a 96-week lockup period, so if you're going to feel edgy about contributing your Polkadot for nearly 2 years and not being able to act on it, yeah, you need to bear that in mind. But again, with something like with GLMR, if it comes onto the market hot and price shoots up, you can consider selling some of your 30% allocation, and to at least realize some of the gains, and then you'll be safe there knowing that you'll be getting 70% back later. But obviously I'm not a financial advisor, and you need to come up with your own strategies that will suit you based on your needs. There is a page right now on the Moonbeam Foundation that lets you input how much DOT you're considering loaning and how many GLMR you could potentially receive. So as of right now, there's 8.198 million DOT contributed, and if someone's contributing 10 currently, they can get approximately 121.98 GLMR. However, I would caution that this could drastically increase if there is a massive run and many more DOT are contributed. So basically the DOT reward, or the GLMR rewards, will dilute based on a higher amount of DOT being contributed. So this is worth considering. So I've got a bit of a recap here on the loaning process. So There's going to be a 1 GLMR minimum as a reward if the 100 million hard cap of DOT is reached. If you're contributing, there has to be a 5 DOT minimum contribution. This will be locked up for 96 weeks and you will receive 30% of the GLMR at launch. Something else to be wary of, and Polkadot has reminded users of on its official Twitter, is you want to leave at least 1.1 DOT in your wallet. I don't think this applies on centralized exchanges, but if you're crowdloaning with a wallet, leave 1.1 DOT. If you leave less than 1 DOT, then this gets deleted because wallets on Polkadot do not remain active if there is less than 1 DOT available. The same rules do not apply to Kusama, but this is how it works at DOT. I know it sounds annoying and it doesn't make complete sense, but that's the rules. So just be careful and be aware of that, because Polkadot is trading at close to $50 right now, and even if you've got 0.9 DOT, if that gets erased, that could be pretty annoying. So I'm just going to check in right now with the current crowd loans. So parachains.info is a great place to keep up to date with the latest goings on, and I want to show you first the results of the first 5 crowd loans for Kusama. So whenever Moonriver launched, users were given around 14 Moonriver for each Kusama that they contributed, and basically the reward per Kusama was checking out at $4,739. Now look at that compared to the rewards for other chains. Now I'm not saying the same cannot happen for the GLMR token. There's a higher denomination, in terms of the tokens that will be available. Moonriver was 10 million at Genesis. We're going to have 1 billion for GLMR. So, but it's just good to see that there are good rewards out there, and that if you were receiving the equivalent of nearly $5,000 for a Kusama, you've covered. You don't really need to worry about your Kusama again. It's basically paid for itself many times over. When it comes to the current crowd loaning process on Polkadot, we can see that the first 5 auctions begin today. Now, there's something to bear in mind with Polkadot auctions. So, the auction has begun today. Akala is in the lead with 12.7 million DOT contributed. Now, you can't wait too long in the auction process. So when an auction begins, there's a guaranteed duration of a day and 18 hours that it will be active. After that, there is 5 days in which it can end at random. This is called a candle auction, where historically once a candle went out, the auction would close. However, this is a randomized process. So once you get past the first day and the 18 hours of an auction can close at any time in the following 5 days. Now, if you've contributed after the auction closes, your DOT will not be contributed and you will not receive any rewards. So if you are very keen on getting into a project such as Moonbeam, contributing in the first day and 18 hours is the only way you will guarantee yourself the rewards. Anyone else who waits into the 5-day period, you're playing chicken. It might pay out, it might pay off, it might not. But if you do contribute early and you know that people are kind of getting cut out, it is to your benefit, because you'll get a higher concentration of GLMR tokens. So the process can be to your benefit. Now, in the initial auctions, I had expected Akala to win the first auction, as I explained in my Akala video from earlier this week. Whenever you're comparing Moonbeam to Akala, the reward pool is potentially less. So it's 10% of the total supply, whereas it's 17% for Akala. I am sort of working by the rule of thumb that 10% is probably the minimum you want to accept. Some of these other projects are going higher, but I think this is because they need to be more competitive to raise interest and encourage people to loan to them, because frankly Akala and Moonbeam are the best known and they're the most likely to succeed, and this is why they've had the highest number of contributions and the highest number of funds raised. With Moonbeam, there aren't any bonus rewards. I've tried to look into this. I've not found anything obvious on the Medium page or the official website or Twitter account. There are some bonuses available for other projects. but with Moonbeam there doesn't appear to be. And I was reading into the information on the Medium page for the crowdloan, and it was basically saying they want everyone to start off on an equal footing, and this is why you can't do anything special, to try and get a little bit more or get ahead of everyone. So with Moonbeam, the second Parachain auction begins on the 18th next week. However, people can contribute now for Moonbeam. It's actually in a decent position. If it were to make a push in the next couple of days, it could catch Akala up. But the one thing that I think is interesting with Moonbeam, that if there was a rush on DOT, hypothetically in the first day of the auction, Akala is hard capped at 50 million DOT, Moonbeam's at 100 million. So say they were to go to Akala maxes out at 50 million, Moonbeam goes to 51, Moonbeam wins because Akala has declared a hard cap. But the people over at Akala, they're very smart and supremely talented, so I do trust that they believe that 50 million is a reasonable hard cap, because honestly 100 million DOT is is around the equivalent of 10% of all DOT in circulation, so that would be a heck of a lot for one project to lock up. So I am hopeful that we don't get right the way up on these crowdloan caps, meaning that the rewards are diluted too much. So I would advise coming to parachains.info and keeping an eye on the progress. There are other projects here to get involved with, and I am going to continue to cover these in the days to come. So I'm just going to try and wrap up my final thoughts. So with Moonbeam, this is a great project because, and it's something I believe in, because it integrates compatibility with Ethereum, and the majority of developers working in the crypto space, they're working in Ethereum still, and in the Polkadot ecosystem, lots of developers are now working there and learning the substrate code, because there have been numerous initiatives from the Web3 Foundation to encourage people to get involved. So there's a lot of support here already in Moonbeam. The community's great, and although we don't know who the public team is for Moonbeam, we do know that top-notch investors are involved in the form of Coinbase Ventures and Arrington XRP. I really like the transparency of how the tokens are being distributed and what the vesting schedules are for the venture capitalist investors. So at least we do know that. I'm hoping that the hard cap of 100 million does not get reached, and that we do not see the GLMR rewards getting diluted too much. Just remember not to leave it too late if you want to get involved with this project, because as I explained, it's a candle auction. You're only guaranteed the rewards if you contribute in the first day and 18 hours. After that, the following 5 days, it could end randomly at any time, and this won't be made known until after the 5-day period is ended. So anyone who tries to contribute too late could miss out on GLMR tokens. But then this, you might be happy playing a gamble there and waiting until the end and seeing if you can get involved late, knowing that your DOT will come back to you. Anyone who's investing in Moonbeam needs to consider their entry price on DOT and whether it's going to bother them if they're going to have to suffer through price decreases. My entry points were at high of $20, so I'm not personally too concerned, but your situation might be different. You might prefer to wait and see all of the DOT being taken off the market and then potentially benefit from selling at an increased price, or the staking rewards are excellent on DOT. You're talking about 12 to 14%, so you could be doing that through something like the Fearless wallet and then just receiving your DOT rewards and enjoying those instead. So there are different strategies at play here. There's not a one size fits all. You need to consider your own personal situation. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. I'm going to return to the Polkadot Parachain auctions next week, and I think my next video is going to be on a star, and I'm going to try and do that on Monday or Tuesday at the latest, but I'm hoping Monday. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel and like the video just to help me out. I'm hoping to build a community of like-minded crypto investors who aren't whales, who are everyday people and who just want honest facts and no hopium, and just prospects of good fundamental projects with the potential for long-term success. So again, thank you for watching. I've been Mike of Discover Crypto.